how does it go? What the hell happened? Shut up, motorcycle. Well, hello. Hi, sisters. Welcome back to my amazing friends, and welcome to those who are new. In this week's video, we're gonna be looking under the hood of what it is I actually do in these parts. I really want this video to be helpful to a broad range of people that are interested in the topic of content creation, but I also wanted to target a specific demographic that aren't seen as traditional in the realm of online personas. I think when we talk about content creators and influencers, we tend to get a very specific image in our head of who we're talking about, but there are plenty of people who don't fall into that category that want to be online creatives. And when you do a little search on the YouTubes, there are tons and tons of videos on how to be an online content creator, how to be an influencer, and all of that. But I feel like those types of videos are more geared towards the former rather than the latter. So today I'm going to be giving my tips and my perspective on being an online creative from someone who is less than traditional, a little bit more niche. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm a bit weird. I'm chaotic. I'm all over the place. I am very neurospicy. I am whimsical. I am a fairy.
I'm like a raccoon in the garage.
I have a very particular set of skills and interests.
Or a very particular set of skills.
And because of that, I feel like I've attracted an audience that is very similar to me, has very similar interests and quirks. So this is for you, my fellow weirdos. So I'm fully aware that not everyone in my audience is interested in making their own content, but even if you aren't, you may still enjoy this to kind of get a behind the scenes look at what it is I actually do, if you are curious. I also attempted to format this video so it could be enjoyed in kind of like a podcast style. So you can put this video on your TV or in your AirPods or headphones and just go about your day, do your dishes, crochet your scarf, draw the thing, scrub your toilet, because this is gonna be a long one. So I highly recommend you consume this video that way, especially if you're like me and you have a short ass attention span. I myself am a big connoisseur of the podcast and the video essay. Also, this is a very complex topic with a lot of information, most of which cannot be shared in its entirety and in its full depth in one singular video. So keep that in mind. I won't be able to delve too deeply into each subject. I also suggest if this video is a bit overwhelming with the amount of information that I'm sharing, for now, only take what you need for now and maybe come back later and do a little re-listen. And then maybe in the future, if there's any particular subject you guys want me to expand on, we can revisit that in its own dedicated video because there's going to be plenty of those subjects to choose from, believe me. But before we dive in, I am excited to say that this week we have a sponsor. You guys have heard me rave about Flor before. In fact, I am wearing a Flor dress as we speak. So I'm excited to announce that this week's video is sponsored by Flor. Since a lot of you guys discovered me through my thrifting videos, I suspect that a lot of you are concerned with sustainability. Well, Flor is a sustainable, slow fashion brand that embraces timeless style. Their clothing is ethically made from Oeco-Tex, I can't say that, I'm gonna put it up on the screen, certified linen. That is not only safe for people, but also the environment. Now, a lot of you have expressed that you don't like to wear synthetic fabrics like polyester, so linen is a great staple to have in your wardrobe. Another great thing about linen is that it is super breathable, so it is perfect for hot weather. So Flor dresses are definitely my go-to to wear during the summer because I am very prone to heat stroke and it gets very, very hot where I live. So this time around, I picked this rosy pink dress. This is a wrap dress, and just like all their other dresses, it twirls beautifully. I absolutely love wrap dresses, so this is going to be in my regular rotation this summer because they're super easy to throw on. They can be dressed up, they can be dressed down. And then I also got this beautiful creamy white dress with pink stripes. This time I opted for the mini length, which on me, it fits me more like a knee length dress, whereas the regular dresses fit me about mid calf. I'm about 5'4", a US size 4, and in both dresses, I got a size small. However, if you are bigger busted and have beefier arms, I definitely suggest sizing up for the wrap dress. So if you would like to discover their beautiful sustainable dresses, click the link in the description. I highly recommend it. These are definitely investment pieces, but take it from me, they will be well worth it and you will get so much use out of them. So thank you, Flor, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get right back to it. So in the interest of being organized, this video is going to be organized into 4 different segments: technical, business, building a following versus building a community, and lastly, mental health / self-care. The last part is super important and I feel like it gets ignored a lot when it comes to content creation, so please don't skip that one. So in this segment, I will be covering what equipment I use, what programs I use to edit, and what I think would be a good fit for those that are just starting out in their content creation journey. This video would be way too long if I tried to cover that as well. So in the meantime, this is just going to be kind of a brief overview to kind of give you guys an idea of what it is I actually use to make my content. First of all, YouTube videos. What am I currently filming this video on? I use a Canon R6, which I mentioned in my favorites video. It is my absolute favorite camera. I recently upgraded, well, I upgraded a year ago to this camera, and previously I filmed my YouTube videos on a Sony, and I'm going to pop up the specs of the Sony that I use. And for those of you listening in podcast style, I'm talking about the Sony a6100. That camera is absolutely perfect for vlogs. Great if you're just starting out on your YouTube journey. I still use that camera when I'm going out and I don't want to bring my clunky big old camera, but I also use my Canon R6 for my photography. It's primarily a photography camera. It takes beautiful photos. In fact, if you follow me on Instagram, that's what I use right now for all of my photography. It does have a little bit of an issue with video where if the video goes too long, it automatically shuts off, but it no longer overheats after a firmware update, so I'm able to just start filming again. Like it'll give me a notification and then I start filming again. And then as far as my lens, I use the Sigma Art 35mm 1.4 f-stop lens. I actually used to use this lens on my previous camera, which was a Canon Rebel T6, I believe is what I used. That was also a really great photography camera. It also took video, but I never used it for the video because it did not have a screen that flips around. So that's why I used a separate camera for video and photography. Since the Canon R6 is somewhat newer and it's a mirrorless camera, it is a bit expensive, and then the Sigma Art lens is also pretty expensive. I got the lens secondhand. However, if you're just starting out, I definitely don't suggest going out and buying the most expensive gear. You don't have to. In fact, I highly suggest against it. You gotta dip your toe in the water before you jump in. For me, it was a good investment to get this camera because I was already doing photography. I had been doing YouTube for a year, and since I use this camera now for both of my interests and I get a lot of use out of it, it was a good fit for me. But if you are just getting into it, definitely buy used or stick with your phone. For sound, I honestly just use this cheap Amazon lavalier mic. It's a corded one. Eventually I'll probably upgrade to like one of those wireless ones, but I'm also not very technically savvy, so I prefer things to be simple. Previously I used a Rode mic, which was came with the bundle of the camera that I had, which my father-in-law got for me, and I liked the Rode mic until it started humming. There was this like whine, which I had to edit out of all of my videos and make sure the music was turned up to a certain level to kind of drown out the residual. So I don't recommend the Rode mic, but that's just my experience with it. I've heard other people's videos have that same whine when I know that they have the Rode mic, like I noticed it. So you don't need to spend tons of money on that. This was like $15 and I absolutely love it. I use it for all of my videos. I just have to learn to not bump it. Another thing that I recently found out is that it can pick up on radio signals. For lights, I have key lights from Elgato, I think. My brother bought me those because I was going to be a streamer at one point and then I gave up on that. I definitely don't recommend going out and buying expensive lights. Get yourself a cheap old ring light. And again, if you're just starting out and you want to dip your toe in the water, if you have a smartphone, use that. This thing, like I have the 13, but even when I had an 11, like the quality is pretty dang good. Just start with that. You can also get mics that will plug into here that work just actually my original lavalier mic plugged into here, but then I broke it, so. And actually a lot of creators just use their phone. A lot of vloggers just use their iPhone or Android. In fact, I've heard Android has better camera quality. So if you have an Android, I would test that out. Just make sure the lighting is good, make sure your settings are optimized. There's a lot of different tutorials online on how to take good video and photos on your phone. So I'm gonna actually be starting a playlist pretty soon on just photography and videography tutorials because other people are better at explaining these things than me. So I'm gonna be starting a public playlist pretty soon, so I'll let you guys know when I do that. For editing my content, I use Final Cut Pro for YouTube for long form content. That program is not free, but I do recommend it. Now, if you're looking for a free option, Capcut can be used on your phone or can be used on your tablet. And I recently found out you can also use Capcut on your laptop or desktop computer. I didn't know that. I don't like to use Capcut for long form content. I have my issues with them, but I do use them for my short form content like my TikToks, my reels, my shorts. I feel like it's really intuitive. It has a lot of good tools, and there are some tools that you have to be like a pro member to use, but I've never felt the need to upgrade. They have plenty of things you can use for free. I feel like it's better than a lot of other free apps out there that bombard you with ads, which Capcut does not. There are no ads. For my photography that I post to Instagram, I mostly just edit with Lightroom Mobile, which is also free. It only costs money if you upgrade to have like the cloud, which I did because I felt like it was worth it, because sometimes I want to edit on my phone, sometimes I want to edit on my tablet, so I can have my photography libraries synced up, but you don't have to do that. And it's cool because you could buy presets from artists, and sometimes you can find free ones. I make all my own presets, which I'm not going to talk about because that's a whole other topic on its own, but Lightroom is amazing. I love it. In the next video in this series, I'm actually going to be taking you guys behind the scenes on a photo shoot. I'm going to be vlogging that. I'm actually super excited because we have a theme, I have props. It's going to be amazing. So if you guys would like to see a little behind the scenes look on how I do photo shoots, how I edit, all that stuff, we'll be talking a little bit more about Instagram aesthetic photography content in that video. And again, I'm going to be putting together a playlist of tutorials for photography. So if you guys are inclined to ask me, how do I take stellar photos? How do I edit stellar photos? I'll give you a little bit of information in that video, but it won't be the best because I fly by the seat of my pants. So I will be directing you guys to some professionals in that regard. Again, the question is, do I need a professional camera to get started? And the answer is, no, you do not. I'm only sharing what I use in order to be transparent with you guys. We may girl boss, but we don't gatekeep. Please don't unsubscribe. Sorry if this section is really dry. I can really only do a brief overview since each subject is a whole can of worms all on its own. But with that, let's move on to the next subject, business. Talk about dry. One of the #1 questions I get is, how do you get brands to work with you? How do you get sponsorships? How do I get free? I know, you're like me. You're a hoarder, you like shiny things. When it comes to YouTube sponsorships, that is something I'm still trying to figure out, as I've only had a handful of legitimate sponsors so far. But I do feel like I have a lot of insight when it comes to working with brands on social media platforms such as Instagram and forming long-term rewarding relationships with them. So you're a baby creator and you're wondering how to get noticed by brands to get sent stuff to promote. First of all, you might think that you need a lot of followers to do this. Wrong.
Wrong, 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 wrong.
Most of the time, brands care a lot more about your engagement rate, or the rate at which your audience interacts with your posts, whether that's through liking, sharing, or commenting. This is because an audience that is more engaged is more likely to actually click the links in your bio and in your stories. And they're more likely to support a collaboration through perhaps purchasing through the promotion link or sharing the content. So even if you're a small creator, if you have a supportive and strong community behind you, you are actually more valuable than a large creator, because a large following doesn't always translate into trust. And when people trust you, they buy from you. So some practical things that you can do is, if you have products that you already have, you already love, and you genuinely recommend them, whether that's skincare, whatever it is your niche is, if it's clothing, skincare, crafting, decor, especially if these pieces are handcrafted and from small to medium-sized businesses, try to integrate them in your looks, in your posts, in your photography, and then tag that brand in the caption or in the photo, or both. Although I'd be cautious about doing this with large companies, because bigger companies tend to exploit smaller creators and steal their content and give them nothing in return. Ever. I mean, yeah, you might gain 1 or 2 new followers from it if they tag you, but that's about it. So I actually did this when I first started getting serious about my page. I started creating reels with like outfits of just things I already had, and I tagged every single brand that I was wearing, including ModCloth. And that resulted in ModCloth actually reaching out to me and wanting to do a collab for their fall campaign, which I was very, very excited, because I'm a twee girl at heart. I was always obsessed with ModCloth. So when they were like, we want to send you a PR package, I was like, yes. And guess what, besties? I only had 900 followers at the time. My other tip is to shoot your shot. Slide into those DMs, baby, or emails. The worst thing that can happen is they'll say no, or they just will never respond. They'll leave you on red. They'll ghost you. This actually happens to me a lot. However, by putting yourself out there, you actually increase the chances of you actually getting these opportunities. You'll never know if you don't try. Listen, I know it can be hard. I got anxiety too. I have severe rejection sensitivity. Now, it's your choice if you want to just receive free stuff in exchange for your content, or if you want to start charging, and if and when that is. Everybody does it differently. I mostly did gifted collabs when I first started, and I still do, but mostly for smaller businesses, more ethical mom and pop shops. In fact, most of my Flor collabs up until this point have been purely gifted, and genuinely it was worth it because these dresses are high quality. So I was like, yes, I'll give you content for the dresses because I actually wear these dresses. And there's quite a few other companies that I still do this with. They're like my OG partners, and they are still technically a smaller brand, so I don't mind. And with a lot of these companies, their stuff is made in-house. However, when it comes to companies that outsource their production, they mass produce in China, you guys better pay me. And a lot of times with these smaller businesses, they will give you opportunities to promote an affiliate link or an affiliate code. So there are technically opportunities to earn some money from it, not just get free stuff, but that's not always the case. So you're gonna have to weigh the pros and cons. But at the end of the day, if your goal is to make content creation your job, your job, you're gonna have to start getting paid for your labor and skills. Can't pay your bills with free stuff. Can you imagine if your boss just walked in and was like, hey, so instead of giving you money for your work, I'm gonna instead give you this free coffee mug with a company logo on it. What? And if you're really good at your job, I might even give you a $50 gift card to use on anything in the store. But how am I supposed to pay my rent? Shh, 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 shh. Don't speak. Also, a lot of people don't know this, but if you are in the US and you accept a gift for a collaboration, you have to claim the value of that gift on your taxes as other income. So in the end, not only are you not getting paid, but you are now paying the government for that collaboration. No! Now, I'm not going to touch the subject of taxes with a 10-foot pole. First of all, not everyone watching this is in the US, so I don't want to confuse anyone, but also it is very stressful and I don't want to talk about it. But there are plenty of videos out there that talk about taxes when it comes to being an influencer / content creator, so perhaps I will add that to the playlist. Perhaps not, I'm not sure. We will explore that in the future. So now we are going to talk about building a following versus building a community. Scotty, how do I get followers? This is a very common question. In fact, when you do research on content creation and being an influencer, that is the #1 question that people ask, to the point that shady companies will try to sell you followers. Don't worry, they're genuine, real followers. As we discussed in the business portion, at the end of the day, it's all about quality over quantity. Listen, there are tons of algorithm gurus out there trying to peddle courses on how to go viral, how to gain a following, how to get famous. But if your followers aren't invested in you, it don't matter how many you have. So instead, I'm going to be giving you tips on how to build a supportive, loyal, rewarding, uplifting community, regardless of the size. The way I like to think about engagement is that it is a two-way street, just like with relationships. You don't want to just throw crap up on social media and expect everyone to come running to your post to engage with you. Sure, if and when you do get comments on your post, definitely respond to them. But also, you want to be giving, not just taking. So some practical tips would look like this. After making a post, engage with the content of other creators, whether that be people that you follow in your niche, or maybe within hashtags of your niche. And engaging means liking and leaving a meaningful comment. Not just an emoji or a generic comment like, cool, but something that shows that you actually looked at the content. Maybe you actually read the caption. And don't just go for the top post within the hashtag. Also scroll over to the recent tab within that hashtag, because those users just posted that content, so they are actively online and actively engaging with others. So they might be inclined to engage with you and maybe even check out your page and like and comment on your newly posted content. So when I was first building my community, this is something that I did often. And this is actually how I met a lot of my online friends. I discovered a lot of new and amazing creators this way, and now we follow each other and we regularly interact in the same community, supporting each other's creative endeavors. My experience is the more you share the love, the more you get back. So I am no algorithm expert, but no matter how much they change and update it, the universal pro tip is if you want engagement, you have to engage.
You want to be the one to explain when the captain says engage and we just sit here?
And this applies to all social media, not just Instagram. But on Instagram though, it is to be noted that you should probably update your stories pretty often, not to the point of being spammy. Little things here or there that will interest people, that they might reply to, that they might react to, and maybe occasionally throw in a poll, throw in a emoji reaction, throw in a question sticker, because when people interact with your stories, that also boosts your engagement rate, and they're more likely to see your post on their feed. And then on the flip side, make sure you're also interacting with your friends' stories, so you can click the like reaction, you can respond to the story. If they put up interaction stickers like polls, emojis, questions, also interact with those, because again, they will show up on your feed, but you will also show up on theirs if they're following you. I also like to repost reels and posts of people that I really like their posts, whether I'm following them or not. In case it's not clear, I'm talking about on my story. If you shout people out, they're more inclined to shout you out as well. People tend to match the energy that you put out. So besides engagement, you also want your content to bring value to people, but this doesn't necessarily mean that your content has to be strictly educational or be tutorials. A lot of gurus will tell you to do that, but let's be honest, not everyone is an expert. Some of us aren't an expert on anything. We just got a lot of useless facts rattling around in our skulls. What's the saying? Jack of all trades, but a master of none. That's me. But even if you're not an expert, you can still be valuable to people in that you can be encouraging and be a source of inspiration. And the best way to do that, sounds counterintuitive, is don't be perfect. Show some quirks, show some imperfections. In the land of social media, people tend to only show their good side, the perfect curated lives. And sure, everyone wants an aesthetic feed, but you can still portray a well-rounded human within an aesthetic feed with the captions you write, the stories you post, and showing your personality within videos. I tend to be pretty transparent about my struggles. I don't edit out all of my blunders, my mishaps, and I comment a lot about my mental health. And this is never with the intent to get pity. It's to show that I'm not perfect and I'm a regular ass person. I should say real person, not regular. Regular in air quotes. Which people tend to find pretty refreshing in the day and age of influencers acting like their lives are perfect little fairy tales. Perfect little white, beige, and basic fairy tales. If my life's gonna be a fairy tale, I'm gonna be a freaking fairy. I'm gonna wear a crown. I'm gonna wear a princess dress. But I'm still probably gonna have to run to the bathroom because of my IBS, and I'm still probably gonna have a panic attack at one point if there's loud noises. I've gotten countless comments from people saying that they appreciate that about me, that I'm honest, and that it makes me seem relatable. And I don't just do this so people will follow me. Oh my God, she's so relatable. No, it's to encourage others. Because it's so easy nowadays to look at someone's life online and think that it's perfect and feel down on yourself because you don't have what they have and you feel like you could never have what they have. I don't want to do that to people because I hate it when people's content make me feel that way. And that's really the core of it. You make content for you, and the people like you will show up. Before you know it, you're going to be surrounded by a community of people who understand and appreciate you for you, not for someone that you're pretending to be. And let me tell you, that's the secret sauce. And this segues perfectly into our next subject, which is mental health and self-care when it comes to content creation. Because as much as we love community and engaging with others, when you're making content and posting it online, you are giving... Shut up! Motorcycle. When you're creating content and posting it online, you're giving something of yourself, which even though that can be incredibly rewarding, it can also be very taxing. So you need to set up boundaries for yourself. This is something that I'm still actively having to learn. I know I mentioned before that in the beginning, you should respond to all of your comments, but at a certain point in your growth, that may not be realistic or healthy, especially if you're getting a lot of comments across your platforms. I've had to learn this the hard way because in my head, I thought that I could just respond to every single comment I get on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, but it's becoming unsustainable and it was really taxing my mental health. I didn't want anyone to think that I was too good for them and that I don't respond to my comments, but especially when some of my videos have gone viral, I really need to put my foot down for myself and tell myself that I cannot realistically respond to every comment. Even if they're nice and well-meaning comments, I can't. And this boundary is especially important when content goes viral. Speaking of viral, I know everybody and their mother these days wants to go viral, but there are 3 reasons why you should not make that your main goal. 1, it doesn't last. It'll eventually slow down, and if you get yourself way too caught up in the dopamine rush from all those notifications, you're headed for a crash. 2, virality does not equal success, or even a loyal audience. Those new followers that you gained from that viral video may not be eager to engage with your future content on a consistent basis. That's why I believe that the slow and steady approach is perfect, because you're growing at a rate that you can sustain, and also the people that you gain along the way are going to be more loyal to you. 3, Going viral expands your reach beyond your usual audience, and that opens up the floodgates for hate comments. So how does one deal with hate comments, you might ask? You don't. Don't feed the trolls, no matter how much they piss you off. Trust me, I know from experience. No matter what you say, no matter how reasonable you think you responded, they will always respond in an unreasonable, unhinged way. Now, it's your choice if you want to delete hate comments. I usually don't because I think it's funny when haters expand my reach. However, I do if they're being especially offensive and I think that their comment might trigger others or might spark a fight. I will sometimes succumb to temptation to clap back. So if you see me doing that in my comments, it's probably Shark Week. Cut me some slack, man. I wouldn't worry too much about getting hate comments if you're still a small creator. If that algorithm is algorithming appropriately, your content will be shown to people with similar interests. But know that the bigger you get, the wider reach you will have, and statistically speaking, you will inevitably get the hate comment or 2 or 5. Sometimes it's not even hate comments. Sometimes it's either valid or sometimes invalid critique. If that's the case, then try to respond politely, but also don't be a pushover if that criticism is misplaced. In internet land, it is impossible to not piss people off. Just be as kind and polite as you possibly can while also being honest. Just show some tact if you do clap back and prepare for backlash. Another boundary is DMs. Don't feel obligated to respond to every single DM you get, especially as you grow. There's this concept that I don't really have time to delve into, and it's a very complex topic, but it's called parasocial relationships. If you're gonna be a public figure, I would do more research on this. Although it's not just good for creators to know about this, but also consumers as well, so that you don't end up on the other side of the coin, if you know what I mean. So no one acts a fool. But one dark side to being a public figure is that if thousands of people see you as a friend, they might look up to you or even expect things from you. But you have a lot on your plate and you don't need to feel like you owe everyone everything or even anything. There's only one of you. Don't stretch yourself too thin. And this is just a PSA to anyone who has ever sent me a DM, especially if I haven't responded to it. Don't worry, it is not personal. My DM requests are a battleground. And they look a bit like my unsorted mail pile on my desk, my coffee table, my kitchen table, my countertops. I really hope there isn't a jury summons hiding in one of those piles. And that's why I prefer that if anyone has any serious business inquiries to email me rather than DM me on Instagram. Because unless I'm following you, your DM goes to my DM requests or even my hidden requests. And it gets mixed in with all the feet pic requests.
Oh, you nasty.
Random dudes saying hi.
Hi.
And not to mention all of the just story reactions I get. All of this probably sounds super overwhelming, and it can be if you let it. Which is why taking breaks and logging off is really good for your mental health. And very important. So if you see that I have not posted to either my feed or my stories for a few days, don't worry, I'm just taking a break. I'm probably binging Netflix, cuddling Poppy, or maybe Tears of the Kingdom just came out, and I'm finding new and interesting ways to launch Koroks into the stratosphere. Again, this is such a big topic that covers so many different points, so if there's anything specific that you guys would like me to delve more into, let me know in the comments, and maybe we can do some singular specific videos on those subjects. And as I mentioned before, in a future video, I'm going to be talking more about what goes into creating content for Instagram, specifically photos, and then maybe in the future I'll also cover making reels, making TikToks, and maybe even making YouTube videos. You guys let me know what you want to see, and I'll put that on the list. But I am super excited for this upcoming video because I'm going to be working with a fellow photographer. We have a whole styled photo shoot planned, so I'm really excited. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening, and I really hope this video was helpful for you. I really appreciate you guys and all of your support. I appreciate this community, and I can't wait to make more content for you. I'm extremely excited for all of the videos that I have planned for the next coming months, and I can't wait to show you. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. You know, I gotta say the thing. I can't end a video without saying the thing. All right, bye.